Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thomas Kren webinar today. Today we are going to talk about Xenomore 102 technical demo and configuration tips. My name is Toby. I have the honor to be your host today, and I would like to invite you at the start that you can use the chat if you have any questions about Xenomore to our experts, because at the end of the webinar, we will collect all your questions. And so please use the chat function. Today, we have two experts with us. One of them is coming from Cape Town and he's sitting in Cape Town. So here we have the agenda and the names and of course, job titles of our speakers. And in a few moments, we have the opportunity to meet them in a live video. Today, we will listen to Sally Yilmaz. He is the QA and support engineer at Xenomore. And we have the chance to listen to Lyle Simon, and he's the solution architect and founder. And of course, he's also the DigiSync Technology Solutions. He's responsible for that part at Xenomore. So in the first webinar about Xenomore, we already learned a lot of the functions of the next generation firewall plugin and how it offers the chance to improve your OpenSense. If you're interested in the last webinar, please check out the Thomas Kren YouTube channel and yes, just listen to what we learned. In this webinar today, we will dive deeper into the topic and of course into the plugin and experience the use of Xenomore through a live demonstration. And of course, we have a special offer for you, because if you are interested, you can have a free 30-day test key. For that, please write us a mail and then you will get this test key. And I think it's worthy to test it because in my opinion, Xenomore is really great. And I just would like to mention that you have the chance to buy Xenomore in the Thomas Kren online shop and you will get a 20% discount. So last but not least, I have some organizational information. Today's webinar will take about 60 minutes plus the Q&A session. Of course, the webinar will be recorded. You can find it on our YouTube channel, and I'm kindly asking you to take about 20 minutes at the end of the webinar to give us a little feedback. And of course, you can write what is your wish, what would you like to have in the next Thomas Kren webinar. So now it's the time to introduce you to our experts. I'm very pleased that they are here. So please welcome Sally and Lyle. Here they are.
Morning, folks.
Hello, morning. Everyone. Lyle, you're saying good morning. What is the current time in Cape Town?
It's currently 11 a.m., just after 11 a.m. my side. So we are an hour ahead of you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Sally, I know that you're sitting in Germany, so it's 4 minutes after 10.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we can, before we are going to start, we can have a little small talk, just to get to know you a bit better. Maybe you can tell me, what are you doing if you are not working on Xenomore? What are you doing in your free time? And then we are going into the deep dive.
Yeah. Lyle, after you.
After me. Right, so when I'm not working on Xenomore, we are enjoying the wonderful weather that we have here in Cape Town. It's currently going into our summertime now, so today we are sitting with nice 29-degree weather, and generally we will be enjoying time around the barbecue, like most people in the world, and enjoying outdoor activities, wine tasting, those type of things generally with the family and so on. So yeah, that's what we would be doing.
Great, sounds perfect. Sally.
Yeah, for me, I have two kids, and I like to play. I like to have some time with them after works, and I like barbecue as well with the friends. And in addition, I like play volleyball, so I play it if I have some free times.
Mhm.
But now it's in the winter in Germany and it's pretty cold, so I try to find something to do in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, same. We have snow in the Sauerland. I'm sitting in the west part of Germany. But now we are yes, curious to learn more about Xenomorph, to see the live demonstration. And once again, my invitation to the audience, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask and use the chat function. Lyle and Sally, thank you very much for being here. And now it's up to you. The stage is yours.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so to start, let me get my screen shared here for everybody to see. Okay, so we're going to just retouch on a few of the topics which we discussed in the ZenArmor 101 a webinar that Murat delivered. There were a few things there regarding the installation and so on, which he didn't, which was touched on very briefly. So I'm going to do a slightly deeper dive into how we can install ZenArmor and just show you how easy it is from a point of view, from an OpenSense point of view. So to start, you are going to be logging into your OpenSense dashboard. And from there, you will simply go across to your firmware and to your updates and make sure that you've updated your your OpenSense platform. And then you will install the Sunny Valley repository first. It takes literally a few minutes to do that. And then once the repository has been installed, you will see that you will have access to these plugins, the OS Sensei, the Sensei Agent, and the Updater. And you'll install all of these to your OpenSense platform. Also, once again, it takes literally a few minutes to do that. And once done, they'll be installed and you'll see it'll look something along these lines where it'll show you that all these packages have been installed. And then just something else that I wanted to mention, with ZenArmor, you're not only limited to using OpenSense as a platform. If you would like to use ZenArmor, you can also install it on various other Unix and Linux-based operating systems like FreeBSD or Red Hat, Ubuntu. And the installation process is just as easy in that regard, where you will use a very simple curl command and it'll automate the entire installation for you. And then once you've done that, you will then register your instance of ZenArmor with the Zen Console Cloud Management Platform. And then you can manage it as you would any other, any other instance of it if it was running on OpenSense or not. So this is a advantage to people who either don't want to use OpenSense, maybe they can't use it, maybe it's not allowed in your particular environment, or perhaps you don't have the skills to use OpenSense, you'd prefer to use something that you are more familiar with, like Ubuntu or one of the other Linux distros. You can still benefit from ZenArmor on these other operating systems. And if you have any sort of architectures that are cloud-based or secure service edge or SASE, this is a great way of deploying a layer 2 bridge mode of ZenArmor, so you can then benefit from it as a secure web gateway in those type of environments. So I just want to walk through the initial configuration steps with you guys. Once you've installed all the packages on OpenSense, there's 5 steps through the configuration wizard that you would need to follow to get ZenArmor installed correctly. The first is simply just accepting the terms and agreements. Then what you need to do is you need to select your database that you'll be using to install the reporting data that ZenArmor generates. So with ZenArmor, you have a couple of options to choose from, ranging from Elasticsearch database to MongoDB, and then for small installations, you could even opt to use SQLite databases. Generally, for production environments and for large-scale environments, it's recommended that you use a remote Elasticsearch database where you can offload all of your reporting data to this database, and then you can free up resources on your ZenArmor firewall so it can do what it does best and firewall process traffic, and then you have your data away from it. If you are not capable of doing something like that or unable to do something like that, you could opt to run MongoDB, which is a very stable database solution on your firewall itself. Then once you've decided on your database, you're simply going to be installing that. Then the third part of this wizard is to configure your interface settings. So for most deployments, you are going to be using a routed mode, layer 3 routed mode on your OpenSense firewalls. This basically will route the traffic between your LAN and your WAN zones. And then it uses a emulated NetMap driver to do this. Sully will be doing a slightly more deeper dive into NetMap driver support later on in this webinar. You also have the option here to deploy layer 2 mode if you wish to use this as a secure web gateway. You'll also have those options there. And then once done, you will simply select the interface that you want the protection to run across. So in this case, it's just EM1, and then we set our security zone to being our LAN interface. You click next, and the final bit of the installation is just choosing your subscription type. With all new ZenArmor installations, you get a 15-day free trial business subscription if that's something that you'd like to opt for. If you would just like to test things out, if you already have a subscription key, you can place that in there, or if you would just like to use the free version forever, that option is also available there. And then once done, complete, you're ready to go. So the next part of the demo is I'm going to show you a live ZenArmor dashboard. Let's get into full screen. Okay, so once you've installed successfully, this is what you're going to be presented with. This is your dashboard. It's an overview of everything that's happening on your network, from your throughput to what your top threats are, your top hosts, and your top apps. And then we can also have a bird's eye view of our engine, our ZenArmor engine, that it's running and functioning correctly, the health status of our reporting database and our cloud agent. And then there's various other metrics below, like CPU utilization and disk space and memory utilization and so on. Then diving into the reporting, this is where you get a lot of value out of ZenArmor. ZenArmor creates over 60 different reports that you can use, that you can get a complete understanding of what traffic is traversing your network. In this case, we are looking at all the connection information here. So we can have a complete app breakdown, the percentage of particular apps, excuse me, that is using our network. And we can also look at things like our top local hosts. These are the actual devices behind the firewall that are using it. We can see who's talking. This is a lab environment that I'm demonstrating, so we only have 2 hosts there now. And from here, you can look at your remote hosts, your top remote hosts. And if we scroll down a little bit more, we can look at port information, egress traffic, various connection heat maps, the amount of data that's traversing through our network. And then we've also got things like destination, location, heat maps, and so on. So as you can see, you have the full suite of reporting data here that you might be able to use in your network to be able to determine what apps are talking over your network. And then the same applies for things like threats. We can look at our top threats that are on our current network. In this case, as I said, because this is a demo network, there's not a lot happening here, but just for the sake of the demo, you can see that ZenArmor is picking up things like proxy, which I have disabled for this lab. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the app controls and the policies in the next step. But in this particular section of the reporting, you can see anything ranging from malware to phishing attempts to botnets calling home to their C2 infrastructure and various things. The same applies for our top blocks that we have. So this is all the blocked traffic that we would have on our network. If ZenArmor detected anything that it deemed that it needed to block, this is where that information would be. And then the other is pretty self-explanatory as well. We can split it down into our web traffic, our DNS requests, and then also a bird's eye view of the TLS, top talkers, and so forth on our network. Then if you would like to view live sessions, ZenArmor also has the ability to give you that functionality where you can view all your live connections currently traversing the network. This is great if you are hunting perhaps for any kinds of threats on your network, or if you just need to see, what traffic is coming in and out of your network. This is a great place to view that. And from here on, you can simply click on a little magnifying glass icon, and you'll get a lot more information to this, ranging from the geo IP, source and destination addresses, and so on. So you have all that here for each connection traversing your network. And let's just say something over here caught your eye that wasn't blocked, or something that you would like to block on your network. You can simply just block it from here. You'll see all these little green shields show that it's allowed, but you could simply block that traffic, and then immediately ZenArmor will block that for you. You can also query the DNS name if it hasn't done it automatically for you. You can query the who is there. And then once again, the same applies for the top threats on our network, the top items that it's blocked. In this case, I've set up ad tracking blocking in this profile. So you'll see that this is now blocking all those unwanted ad trackers that nobody wants. The same applies for a breakdown of our web traffic, DNS, and TLS. Then if that's not enough, you can also use the Activity Explorer to do this, where this is just a different view where you can have a look at your hosts that you have on your network. And then you could simply click on this, and you'll be able to have a bird's eye view of what those particular hosts are doing. So what applications they are running, or what's communicating over your network. So in this case, I have a Windows demo machine running. You'll see that there was Microsoft telemetry running across this. We were blocking the Microsoft ads. And then there were also things like Chromium, there's Edge browser on there. There is also Skype that was running across this network. So we've got a quick view of what a particular host is doing if we need to get an understanding if there's any applications perhaps that we don't want to allow that host access to. From this viewpoint, you can see that very quickly and determine if that's a case. This is also great if you are doing any investigations into something like shadow IT, perhaps where you will have hosts trying to access things that you don't deem appropriate, that meets your company policy. From there, you'll be able to see this information if there's any of those applications that fall within that shadow IT category, that you would then be able to later on set up a policy to block if it doesn't meet your particular company policy. So talking about policies, we're going to move into that next. So this is basically the meat of ZenArmor, where we will configure all the functionality as far as policies is concerned. With policies, you set these up in a stack like I have over here. You will always have a default policy with your ZenArmor firewall, and then all your custom policies will always fall above this. The way ZenArmor filters this is from top to bottom. So if you have a particular policy set up, in this case, I have set up one for the demo, I've called it guests, and then I also have kids in the default. This could be policies to break down departments, for example, within your organization. So you could have a separate policy for engineering, for accounting, HR, and so forth. And then just to show you what one of these policies look like, let's go into the kids one first of all. So perhaps you use ZenArmor Home Edition and you would like to protect your kids from accessing certain things on the internet. You could set up a policy like this. So the way that these policies work from this standpoint is we configure them to match against a particular VLAN ID if we want that, or if you're running VLANs. If not, we can also use it to match against IPs and networks, or MAC addresses, users and groups. So the users and groups, you can, for example, integrate ZenArmor with your existing Active Directory that you might have on your network. And from here, you could use those users and groups that you have pre-existing. You could include those users in here as part of this policy to block or to control that traffic for that user or group type. And then finally, one that would be beneficial for perhaps a kids policy would be a time scheduler. So you can set up your times and your schedules when this policy will come into effect through certain hours. Perhaps you're using this in a business environment. Maybe you want to allow there to be more relaxed internet traffic during lunch hours, or perhaps after hours when you don't want to hinder your productivity. Then you could then control those kind of policies using these time schedules. With these policies, this follows a AND logic. So you have to be able to match. If you want the policy to take effect, it needs to match using this AND logic. So to explain that, you would need to, for example, have the VLAN ID would need to be 100, and the IP would need to be X, and the user group would need to be Y. It needs to meet all those particular conditions in order for this policy to take effect. If it doesn't, that will just drop through to the next policy, and then eventually it'll hit the default policy. So I just want to show you quickly the default policy. In here, we have various options ranging from our general security to app controls and web controls and exclusions. So with all ZenArmor instances, regardless of the subscription that you're on, you will always benefit from the essential security. So from here, we can look at categories like compromised websites, DNS over HTTPS. If you don't want to allow that over your network, if you want to be able to see the DNS requests running through your network, you could disable that, or if you would like to block that, you could block it. Things like firstly seen sites, anything related to hacking or key loggers, malware, phishing, etc. You can set up all these categories, and then what ZenArmor does is it has a massive database of billions of different IP addresses, URLs, agents, all those type of things that it's learned through machine learning. And from there, what it will do is it matches up your traffic against those particular instances. And if it finds anything that falls into that, it will then block that particular traffic securing your network. Then you also have advanced security here. So from here, you can manage things like your proxies, dead sites, any recent malware, phishing, or virus outbreaks. This is things that would be updated, like potential 0 days that have been discovered. You'll be able to benefit from protection against those immediately. And then also things like botnet, CNC, any of your botnets or any agents running on your machines unknowingly communicating with their C2 infrastructure, you could block those immediately, and so on. So the next thing that I want to talk about is app controls. I'm going to go back to the kids profile for that. So with app controls, ZenArmor allows you very granular control over the types of applications that you would like to traverse your network. So from there, here, for example, I've blocked ad trackers and ads. So any app that includes those, they will be immediately blocked, preventing those trackers from working. And then let's just look at another example. You can actually drill down into these particular categories. So let's look at gaming, for example. So if I click on gaming, you'll see there's a wide variety of games that have already been pre-included with your ZenArmor installation. Let's just say for a kids policy, we want to allow them to play some games, but we don't allow them to play others. You can come into this particular part of the menu and you'll be able to immediately block the games that you don't want on the network. And then the same applies for any other apps that you have running across your network. You can see here we have a wide variety: email clients, file transfer, instant messaging, social networking, remote access, and so on. You can have full control of these apps running on your network. And if by some chance there's something that's not included with ZenArmor, you can actually create a custom app here as well, where you can match up those ports and IP addresses and host names, and then you can block that app as well. Then the next section I want to talk about is very similar to app controls. It's called the web controls. It's pretty self-explanatory. Web controls is to control the actual websites that our users are allowed to see or not allowed to see. So in the case of a kid's profile, I've disabled things like adult content. Once again, the advertising, things like alcohol and tobacco, dating, and so forth. And once again, you have complete control over what you would allow on your network and not. Another thing that I just want to mention here is also for something like a kid's profile, we can enforce safe search from the profile itself, and then this will apply safe search onto all of their browsers automatically. So you don't need to enable this on a browser level. You can do this straight from ZenArmor. And then once again, if there's a particular web category that you don't see here, or a particular website that you would like to block, you can then create your own web category for that. Then to manage those custom ones that you've created, you've got an exclusions option here. Basically with this, you can manage all your exclusions. So perhaps there's a website that that ZenArmor has blocked that you need access to. You can add it to a whitelist and you can manage all of that from here. So as you can see, you have complete granular control over all the traffic and the apps, the websites, and so on traversing your network. Okay, so the next thing I just want to show you is the settings menu. So in ZenArmor, all of your settings have been conveniently put into this one menu. I'm not going to deep dive into what every setting is. We'll be here all day. There's plenty of settings here that you can configure and maintain your firewall. Some of the interesting ones that I do want to touch on, the first is data management. So with data management, we can actually set up ZenArmor to stream our reporting data either through syslog or through to an external Elasticsearch database. And this kind of functionality comes in handy when you want to be able to integrate ZenArmor with a SIEM or SIEM solution that you have on your network. So you can set it up to stream all syslog connection information to that SIEM or SIEM. If you look at the ZenArmor blog, I have created many tutorials there and many integrations on how to integrate ZenArmor with very popular SIEM and SIEM solutions like Splunk, Wazoo or Waza, as well as your Elk Stack, Elasticsearch, and so on. Datadog is another one. So feel free to check those out. This is a really powerful part of ZenArmor because you get so much information. ZenArmor creates and monitors so much information on your network that it's truly a wealth of information that you can ingest into your SIEM environments that your analysts would be able to use and benefit from, giving them a complete view of what's happening over the network. Then the other integration that I want to show you is the Active Directory integration. So in the policies, I briefly explained that you could filter your traffic or apply policies to groups and users. So if you have an existing Active Directory running on your network, you can integrate Zenarmor directly with that particular Active Directory, and then it will bring all your already created users and groups from AD into Zenarmor. And from there, you'll be able to then create your policies to filter and to apply for those particular groups. So let's say you have an accounting department that needs access to only certain websites or certain tools. You can then limit them and give them access to only those particular tools, and you could then block everything else, for example. Perhaps marketing has a different set of requirements. Once again, you could apply the marketing group, everybody within that marketing group, you could give them a different set of access to the tools that they need. So this creates opportunities where you could set up a like least privilege type environment where you could give people only access to the tools and services that they need in order to do their jobs, preventing anything else from accessing your network. From that side, I think that is everything that I wanted to show as far as the dashboard is concerned. I'm going to hand over to Sully next, who's going to do a deep dive into NetMap and some of the up and coming capabilities, which is going to be launched with version 1.16 of Zenarmor. So I'm going to hand over to him from here on out. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, Lyle, for the presentation. I would like to talk about a bit more deployment modes and NetMap. This is the important part of Zenarmor. So NetMap provides Zenarmor to grab the packets from the interface. So that means Zenarmor gets the packets from the operating system via NetMap. So for the inbound connections, I mean, for the OpenSense, for the inbound connections, OpenSense gets the packets before. But for the outbound connections, Zenarmor gets the packets first, inspect, and gives the OpenSense. So the default option for the deployment mode is routed mode L3 with emulated NetMap driver. The old Zenarmor users knows that the default option was native NetMap driver before, but we had made some projects with FreeBSD teams and improved the emulated driver. So NetMap native drive covers limited interfaces, especially in Intel interfaces, and it's too hard to handle to native drive for all interfaces in the market. But emulated provides us to use NetMap with wide range interfaces, and it has some performance and stability issues before, but with the Mate project, all stability and performance issues solved. So we use emulated driver in default. So that doesn't mean you don't you cannot use native driver anymore. Of course, you can use it with Intel cards, but for the others, we advise to use emulated driver for Intel cards as well. And the other option is passive mode. Passive mode, Zenarmor use PCAP technology instead of NetMap in passive mode. So this provides to the customers if they have an unsupported interface by the NetMap and use Zenarmor's benefits reports, so you can use passive mode. But in the passive mode, Zenarmor cannot inject anything to the packets, just get a copy of the network packets and shows it as reports. And the breach mode, it works in layer 2, gets packets in layer 2 mode. And if you configure breach mode on ZenArmor, you will lose all OpenSense functionalities. ZenArmor will get the packets, inspect, and go through another interface. And DNS enrichment, ZenArmor can use host names instead of IP addresses for the reports side. And you can define your DNS server IP here if you use any DNS server instead of OpenSense DNS service. And ZenArmor can catch the host names from LLMNR and MDNS packets on the network. And the other option is host aliases. If you define some aliases in the firewall menu on OpenSense, ZenArmor will use these aliases as host name in the reports. Exempted VLANs and networks. ZenArmor can exclude some VLANs, IP addresses, or network addresses from its inspection. So this could be useful if you have some devices in the network and you don't want to inspect them. ZenArmor will bypass their traffic and won't count them for the license. It's pretty easy. You just enter the VLAN ID here, or network address, or an IP address here. Block notification page. ZenArmor started to show notification page for TLS sessions as well. So the main goal here, ZenArmor must see the unencrypted DNS traffic to show the block notification page. So if you activated this feature and you still cannot see the landing page, you need to check the DNS traffic on the client side. And the most popular browsers activating DNS over HTTPS feature in default. So you need to check these settings, or an option in the ZenArmor. You can block DNS over HTTPS traffic in the security menu, and it has in applications as well. For example, you recognize that unknown DNS over HTTPS traffic exists in your network, so you can create it as a custom application and block it. Via HTML editor, you can customize this web page. For example, you can add your company logo or any additional information via these tags, or you can add your own design totally here. Download CA certificate provides you to download the self-signed certificate and upload it to the client's browsers as trusted certificate. And I need to say there is a known issue with this now. Some browsers cannot see this certificate as trusted due to SAN name in the certificate, and it will be fixed with the upcoming release 1.16. We plan to ship it at the beginning of December next month. Bypass code features, you can provide your clients to access a blocked web page temporarily via bypass code. It has two modes as user and admin. The differences between these modes, user pin just able to access the site for the user device only. For example, the user used the pin number for its laptop. So this site will be accessed only on that laptop. But if you create an admin pin and gives users to this pin, the site that blocked will be accessed for whole network. You can set the expire time for the pin number. Actually, there is two time period for this. The defined time defines for the pin number how many days or hours it will be used. But there is a static time, it's 12 hours. So the website or IP address will be accessed only 12 hours. So user needs to use the PIN number again after 12 hours. And you can bypass everything or just some categories here for the web or application. And you cannot exclude security categories. I mean, if a website blocked according to security category, you cannot use the bypass code for the security sites. High availability, if you configured high availability features in the OpenSense, ZenArmor reads this configuration. I have an HA configured machine here. Sorry. Yeah. So ZenArmor can synchronize its configuration and policies to the passive device. Certificate authority for the block notification page, you can import your own certificate here with the certificate and private data. So ZenArmor will use this certificate for the landing page. Backup and restore, you can backup ZenArmor's configuration, license and policies, and restore if necessary. Logging, this is for system logs that ZenArmor's service created. You can set retire time, rotation date, and log level. If you need to debug something, the debug for is logging everything for the engine or for the UI services, and you can check against the errors. Privacy, these settings are a bit important. Anonymize feature. If you activate for the local IP or remote IP addresses, ZenArmor will mask the real IP addresses. It uses random IP addresses from 10A class IP block. Sometimes we have some tickets about this, and this increase the active device size for the license as well. So some users says that the device size is abnormally high. So you need to check these settings if it's activated. Subscription, you can manage your license here. And in the configuration, there are some a bit tips. if you have VLAN interfaces, virtual interfaces under the parent interface, physical interface, for the ZenArmor, it's enough to protect parent interface. With the upcoming release, ZenArmor will deny you to select both parent interface and child interface, but with the existing release, you can select both of them. But we don't advise to protect both the interface because the traffic will be inspected twice time, both from the parent interface and from on the virtual interface. So that's enough to protect the parent interface for this case. Yeah. That's all on my side. It was very nice to be here with all attendees, and thanks for your time.
Yes, great. Thank you very much, Salih, and of course, Lyle, for your keynote about ZenArmor. And of course, we got some questions in the chat, but I would like to invite you once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you got any questions, doesn't matter about what slide, please take the chance and write it into the chat. So the first question from the audience is, what is a large environment for you? I think it was one of the first slides from Lyle. What's a large environment for you?
Okay, well, it's a pretty interesting question. A large environment, I would say, is 500 plus users, probably. From there, anywhere from up to that. I don't know, Salih, would you agree with that statement, or would you think I'm going in too low there?
Yeah, exactly. And I can add, if you mind, ZenArmor's limits about large environments, we can say ZenArmor can handle 5 gigabit per second throughput and 5,000 users behind it. But we plan to ship multi-core support for the next year. So ZenArmor's traffic handle limit will be dependent to hardware resources.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, and of course, thanks for the question. So the next one is TLS, SSL, and HTTPS inspection possible?
Yeah, it's possible, and in the current version, ZenArmor use a light TLS inspection. So that means ZenArmor inspect the TLS traffic according to IP addresses or domain name in the certificate. But with full TLS inspection feature, we plan to ship it in February, in the middle of February. ZenArmor will see full URL information in the TLS sessions and will inspect whole TLS traffic.
Mm-hmm. And here's coming a commentary from the guy who is asking the first question. He's telling us, asked because I have approximately 200 clients and 500 Mbit throughput. So now he knows that he can use the small installation, and he's saying thank you. So next question, HA is licensed how?
HA license, the customer needs to buy HA license as well, but its cost is half price. So you need to take the same size license, but with half price.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What discounts can be expected for educational or non-profit organizations?
This is a marketing or sales team question, but as I know, for the educational and non-profit organizational, we have 50% discount.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Which interfaces should be selected in Xenomore, LAN or WAN interfaces?
Yeah. For the OpenSense, the best practice is to protect LAN interface or interfaces on ZenArmor. And we filter WAN interfaces on the OpenSense side. This is because we leave one interface for the IPS feature. Both ZenArmor and Suricata IPS module uses NetMap to grab packets off, and we cannot work on the same interface together. We warn users if they select one interface for the OpenSense, but if they select one interface on Suricata, so we cannot recognize this, and it could network issues. So we filter one interface, and users cannot see one interface in the available list. So the best practice and advised configuration is to protect LAN interface on ZenArmor.
Okay, thank you, Sally. How does HA work in detail?
Actually, we read the OpenSense HA configuration, and we act like OpenSense. So you need to work all services, all ZenArmor services, both in active and passive device. When your traffic switched to passive device, ZenArmor will start to inspect the traffic like OpenSense.
Mm-hmm.
I hope these details is enough. Otherwise, you can ask more detail.
Okay. I did not found any documentation. What are the functional differences of setting different security zones?
I will check and inform the documentation team about it. Actually, I'm not sure about documentation, but I can say if you tag actually the differences exist with LAN and WAN tags. So it affects the reports. If you tag an interface as WAN, so your local connections will be as destination in the report. So your reports makes you a bit confusion. So it's important to tag the interfaces correctly.
Okay. So we got two more questions left, but it's of course still possible to write some more questions. Ladies and gentlemen, is it possible to filter WireGuard or OpenVPN traffic?
Yeah, it's possible, but for the WireGuard, for now, we support WireGuard Go plugin. If you installed and configured WireGuard kernel module, so you cannot inspect its traffic now, but the NetMap team and our team worked together to support kernel module as well, and it's almost finished. Our engine will be ready with the next release, 1.16. We ship it next month, at the beginning next month. But we need to wait OpenSense update for the kernel side. I think the OpenSense ship a new version in a few weeks. So we will start to inspect WireGuard kernel module as well in 2 or 3 weeks later. OpenVPN is already supported. The only point is to use OpenVPN with Tune interface, not TAP interface.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also, just to add to that as well, we've successfully managed to make it work to inspect zero-tier interfaces as well running across there. So if you have any overlay networks that you're building using zero-tier integrated with OpenSense, you can inspect that traffic very easily as well.
Okay. And I will be glad to announce that we will be ready to create a VPN tunnel inside the ZenArmor. So our engine will be available to create its own VPN tunnel inside it. So you won't need to use an external VPN solutions if you use ZenArmor in near future. And it will be WireGuard based.
Great. Does ZenArmor replaced IDS?
IDS, ZenArmor doesn't support IDS features, makes IPS, but ZenArmor just catches the threats, block or not, doesn't inform the user about it.
Mm-hmm. How does application filtering work? Is the traffic analyzed, or does it work via known IP addresses or DNS names?
It's mixed now. We have most used applications, fingerprint informations, and recognize these applications whenever IP address or ports coming. We can recognize them, but for individual applications, we check our application database to recognize it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So right now we have no new question, but I think we should take 2 or 3 minutes to spend a bit more time. So I just used the time to, first of all, thank you very much, guys. And maybe we have the opportunity to meet you once again. I don't know if you are interested or if you have time, because I think that our audience is interested in ZenArmor very much, and maybe it's a great future for us together.
Yeah.
So I will have a look into the chat once again. So no new question. So then it's my pleasure to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that you can have the 30-day test key for free, and especially for the business edition. If you're interested, please write us a mail. It's the address webcast@thomas-krenn.com. So here you can see it once again. And yes, I think it's really worthy to test it. And then if you would like to, you can buy it in the Thomas Krenn online shop with a 20% discount. So Sally and Lyle, I would like to give you the opportunity to say your last words, and then I will end the webinar.
I think there are some more questions.
Sorry. Sorry, Sally. In this moment, we got more questions. It's cool. Can you say something about threat intelligence futures?
Okay. For the business users, we have Bright Cloud Threat Intelligence database, and we have our own database as well. And system works like this. ZenArmor queries an IP address or domain name firstly from our database, and if it's not exist in our database, asks to the Bright Cloud database or our another provider according to license. And we have thread Intel servers in different locations. For the Europe side, we have servers in Frankfurt, Google data center. Europe users queries domain and IP information from that servers. And the database always active, I mean improving actively. The bots are checking the existing sites or for the new sites and categorize them. And with the near feature, ZenArmor will support custom thread Intel database as well. The global database checks the sites according to its popular visit rankings, but we recognize that for the local site, we need some specific database. So we will support local thread database, and MSPs or a kind of companies can use their thread database on ZenArmor.
Okay, great. So, and one more question. With the AD plugin, is the RDP servers supported?
Actually, yeah, ZenArmor used the last login information for the Active Directory. The AD agent works, collects the user information from the event viewer. So for the RDP side, the last logged in user will be reported on ZenArmor side. But Microsoft has a solution for this, and some customers tested it and achieved the RDP scenario. Its name is remote IP virtualization. I think it was the name. So Microsoft assigned different IP addresses for each logged in users to the RDP service. So then ZenArmor recognizes each user with the different IP addresses and reports them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that you mentioned Microsoft is a perfect connection to my invitation for the last webinar in this year. But first of all, I would give you once again the opportunity to say your last words, Salih and Lyle, of course.
Okay. So I can make a new announcement. ZenArmor will come with device identification feature on 1.16 version, and will count the device instead of unique IP version for addresses for the license or etc. And you will see your devices with device names in the reports, and you will be able to apply policies to the devices as well. So this is an exciting feature and most wanted features in the market. So I'm glad to announce this.
Great, congrats and thank you.
Just from my side, I'd just like to say thanks for listening to us today, and hopefully you can take away some good information about this product. And I encourage you guys to get this up and running on your systems. You've literally got nothing to lose with a 15-day free trial. And go play with it in your lab environments, explore the functionality, and see how you're going to be benefiting from this and how you can essentially improve your overall security posture that you have on your network. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you, guys. And from my side, I can really recommend to have a look at the first and of course into today's webinar on our YouTube channel. Please check it out, share it if you would like to. and maybe all together we can build a great Cinema community. So, ladies and gentlemen, the last webinar of this year will take place next Wednesday, and it's all about Windows Server 2022 licensing with the OEM license of the Thomas Krenn AG, and once again in German as well. Nächste Woche Mittwoch, meine Damen und Herren, wird das letzte Webinar der Thomas Krenn AG stattfinden. Um 10 Uhr werden wir sprechen mit Manfred Helber, the most valuable professional from Microsoft, über Windows Server 2022 Lizenzierung mit dem OEM-Lizenzen der Thomas Krenn AG. Und dazu möchte ich Sie ganz herzlich einladen, nächste Woche Mittwoch 10 Uhr. An der Stelle möchte ich sagen, danke. And now we are continuing in English. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day. Have a nice winter. And if we not see us again next Wednesday, have a nice Christmas. Bye-bye and take care.
Bye. Thanks for your time.
Greetings to Cape Town. Bye-bye.